Some dreams are just dreams, fragments of memory, echoes of the day. They fade the moment we wake up, like mist disappearing under the morning sun. But sometimes a dream feels different, older, stranger, heavier with meaning, as if it didn't begin inside your mind at all, but somewhere far away, somewhere waiting, a place your soul remembers even when your mind does not. This is the story of a man who dreamed of another world, and the day that world called him home. High in the silent mountains of the Himalayas lived a monk named Guru Jnanananda. The village where he lived was small and hidden between ancient cliffs and snow-covered peaks. Few travelers ever found it. The outside world barely knew it existed, and in that quiet, forgotten place lived a man who seemed just as invisible as the village itself. Guru Jnanananda was a quiet man, a patient man, a man who rarely spoke unless someone asked a question. His face was thin and weathered by cold winds and long years of meditation. His silver beard flowed down his chest, and his eyes carried a calm that made people feel strangely peaceful. Yet to the world, he was no one special. A forgotten monk living in a small stone hut beside an old monastery. His life was simple: stone walls, cold wind slipping through wooden windows, morning prayers that echoed across the valley. Each day began before sunrise. The monk would step outside barefoot, touching the frozen ground as the sky slowly turned from deep blue to pale gold. He would sit facing the mountains and meditate while the world slowly woke around him. Goats wandered across dusty paths. Children carried water from the village well. Smoke rose gently from small cooking fires. To the villagers, he was simply a peaceful teacher, someone who gave quiet advice, someone who listened more than he spoke. But every night, when darkness covered the mountains and the stars filled the sky, something extraordinary happened. Something no one else knew. The monk traveled, not with his body, but with his mind. Every night he dreamed of a place no human had ever seen, a world beyond the stars. The sky there glowed in soft shades of violet and deep lavender. The ground shimmered as if rivers of silver light were flowing beneath its surface, and above him hung two enormous moons, ancient and silent, watching everything. The air itself seemed alive. Soft waves of glowing mist drifted across the strange landscape, and within that glowing mist moved the beings, strange, luminous, peaceful beings. They had no fixed shape. Their forms shifted like living light. Sometimes they looked almost human. Sometimes they appeared like floating figures made of energy. They had no voices, no mouths, no language. Yet somehow they communicated perfectly, through pulses of light, through waves of feeling, through thoughts that appeared directly inside the monk's mind. And whenever Guru Jnanananda stood among them, a powerful emotion filled his heart: peace. Not the small, peaceful moments humans sometimes feel, but a deep and overwhelming calm that touched every part of his soul. A sense of belonging, as if he had finally arrived somewhere familiar, somewhere ancient, somewhere he had always known, even if he could not explain why. But every morning, the dream vanished. The glowing world disappeared. The moons faded into darkness, and the monk woke once again on earth, clutching the cold soil of the Himalayan mountains. Every morning he sat quietly for a long time, trying to understand what he had seen. And every time he whispered the same question to himself: why do I miss a place I have never seen? For months the dreams remained the same. The glowing world, the silent beings, the peaceful feeling of belonging.
Let your heart be still. This is the true wisdom.
Until one night everything changed. The luminous beings gathered closer than ever before. Their light pulsed brighter, faster, more urgent, and then suddenly a vision appeared in the sky above them. Not the alien world, but Earth. A mountain collapsing, stone and earth crashing downward with terrifying force. A village disappearing beneath clouds of dust. People running through the darkness, screaming. The monk woke in terror. His heart raced as if he had just witnessed a real disaster. And then a chilling realization filled his mind, because he knew exactly which mountain he had seen. It was the mountain above his own village. The next morning, Guru Jnanananda did something he had never done before. He went into the village and gathered the people together. His voice was calm but urgent. "Do not stay near the mountain tonight," he warned them. Some villagers looked at each other with concern. Others laughed softly. Dreams were dreams after all, and among them stood a strong and confident villager named Raghav. Raghav had always respected the monk, but he believed the old man was simply a spiritual teacher, not someone who could see the future. "A dream cannot move mountains," he told the others, and many villagers agreed with him. That night, the village slept as usual, but the mountain did not. Near midnight, a deep rumble shook the valley. At first, it sounded like distant thunder. Then the ground began to tremble, and suddenly the mountain moved, with a roar so loud it echoed across the entire valley. Stone thundered down the slopes like an avalanche of earth. Homes vanished beneath clouds of dust and rock. Trees snapped like broken twigs. The disaster lasted only minutes, but when the sun rose the next morning, the village would never be the same again, and everyone understood something terrifying. The monk had seen the future. The whispers spread quickly, first through nearby villages, then across the mountains, then far beyond the region. The dreams continued, each night bringing new visions. A child born with healing hands, rain arriving after months of drought, a river flooding days before the storm had even formed. And every single time the visions came true, perfectly. People began traveling across long distances just to see the monk. Pilgrims began arriving, hundreds, then thousands, then millions. They came searching for hope, for answers, for miracles. Soon the quiet monk was no longer just a teacher. He had become something else, a spiritual leader. News channels broadcast his predictions. Scientists debated his visions. Governments requested private meetings. World leaders quietly asked for guidance. And a determined journalist named Maya Rao arrived in the mountains to investigate the mystery. She expected deception, a trick. A carefully constructed illusion meant to fool desperate people. But the more she observed the monk, the more impossible the truth became. Guru Jnanananda never claimed power. He never asked for money. He never demanded belief. He answered questions gently, often saying he did not fully understand the visions himself. In fact, Maya noticed something strange. The monk seemed frightened of his own dreams. While the world celebrated him, Guru Jnanananda felt something very different. Unease, because the dreams were slowly changing. The glowing beings felt distant, quieter, their light dimmer than before, as if they were slowly drifting away. Then, one night they vanished completely. No glowing planet, no silver ground, no two moons, just darkness, endless silence. For the first time in months, the monk saw nothing, but the world still demanded answers, predictions, miracles, guidance. And when his next prediction failed, everything changed. Faith turned into suspicion. Suspicion turned into anger. The same crowds who once worshipped him now called him a fraud. At the center of that anger stood Raghav. His voice echoed through the village. "You see the truth now," he shouted to the crowd. The spiritual leader was a lie. Torches rose into the night. The small ashram burned. The mob dragged Guru Jnanananda through the streets of the very village he had once protected, until finally they left him broken and bleeding in a ditch outside the mountains. For 3 days he lay there, rain falling softly around him, the cold earth beneath his body, and as life slowly slipped away, he whispered toward the silent sky, not to God, not to the people of earth, but to the beings who once filled his dreams. Why did you leave me? For a long time there was no answer. Then suddenly the dream returned. The glowing planet appeared again. The silver rivers of light. The 2 ancient moons. But this time the monk was not watching from a distance. He was standing there. The luminous beings surrounded him. Their light touched his wounds, and the pain disappeared. Then the truth flooded into his mind, not through words, through memory. You were never receiving signals. You were remembering. This world was not a vision of the future. It was his past, his home, a place where his soul had once lived long before Earth. The silence had never been abandonment. It had been preparation. Guru Jnanananda opened his eyes. His wounds were gone. His body felt lighter, stronger. He walked slowly back toward the village. No one recognized him anymore. Inside the ruins of his burned ashram, something shimmered. A tear in reality. A glowing portal. Beyond it, the alien world waited. Two moons shining above the glowing landscape. The luminous beings standing silently, waiting. The monk looked back at Earth one final time. The world that worshipped him, then destroyed him, then forgot him. Yet he felt no anger, only gratitude, because even pain can be a teacher. And with a single quiet step, he crossed the veil between worlds, far away. A NASA satellite detected something strange, a brief ripple in space just outside the Milky Way. Then it vanished.
Mother, I had a dream.
Years later, a young girl in the Himalayan mountains told her mother about a dream. She said she met a kind old man, a man with peace in his eyes, a man who stood beneath 2 glowing moons. Because sometimes home is not where you were born. Home is where your soul remembers.